Leftist Lens. Welcome to Leftist Lens. This week's episode is brought to you by the letter L and by the Uruk-hai, because when Mordor wants to get shit done, they know where to turn. Trust no substitutes, use only the OG Uruk-hai. And now, here's James and Matt. You were going to say something.
No.
Okay.
I was, but I'm not.
You can. Feel free. I give you permission.
It is past.
Oh, okay. Okay, so just imagine the music composed for us by none other than Jack White, by the way.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, Jack White that works at Publix down the road in the bakery. He's a good guy. He knows how to use Pro Tools. So anyway, that's Matt.
That's James.
Yeah, and we are the Leftist Lens, and we do this thing usually on the weekly, almost always on the weekly, where we're going over things of the prior week and prognosticating about things in the coming week, perhaps. There's a lot that's gone on in the past fucking week, right?
There is. And if you've been following us for a long time on YouTube, this is episode 46. And if you're new to us on the podcast apps, this is episode 14 to you. But yeah, we had the Longshoreman strike we talked about last week that may be over. I don't know. We're going to talk about that. There's election updates. Jack Smith dropped a bomb. No, he dropped the bomb a while ago, but it got unsealed, so we all got to read it. And the Middle East is still on fire. Those are the things we're going to talk about today on Leftist Lens.
Welcome.
Where are we starting?
Let's start with the Longshoreman strike. What happened with that?
Okay, so this is interesting to me because Biden said he's not going to use the Taft-Hartley Act. Taft-Hartley Act, what it does is allows the president to force the striking union to go back to work for 90 days while they continue to negotiate. And he said, I'm not doing that. But then he sent his acting labor secretary to go join the negotiations and try to push for a resolution. Apparently what ended up happening was they more or less came to terms on compensation. So it's a 50-something% raise over the life of the next contract. The union agreed to that. They still want to fight about automation and losing jobs to automation. So that's still a sticking point, but they are going to go back to work for 90 days while they continue to negotiate that point. So they got the effect of the Taft-Hartley Act without actually using the Taft-Hartley Act.
Have we seen any commentary from the evil villain mob boss that heads up that union about how we got to this point? Has he said anything?
I did not. I did see Julie Sue, who is the acting labor secretary. I did see her do an interview where she kind of talked about the process and that they're hopeful that they'll be able to figure out the next sticking point to avert the strike resuming in January, because that's when this deal expires. But I did not see what the mob boss that's in charge of the union. I do want to say, first of all, the guy in charge of the union seems like a dick. He's a bad face of that union, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But he is not the union. He is not the members. His $900,000 salary has nothing to do with what the members make and what they're fighting for. So
yeah, and it's unfortunate, and people are like laser focused, excuse me, on that one guy and losing sight of what the bigger picture is with this in terms of workers' rights. I wish everybody could be in a union. I wish the fuck that I could be in a union.
Well, you got to get some of your coworkers together and form one.
I think there's something in the contract that says we can't do that. I'm sure of it. And anyway, it's over, and bananas will be back to stocking on the store shelves because
I think it only lasted 3 days, right? It was
really short. Yeah, and so they talked to.
It could resume in January, though, if they're still haven't come to an agreement on protecting jobs that are being replaced to automation.
Yeah, they had said originally the estimates were that for every day that the strike was going on, it was going to take 3 to 5 days to spin the ports back up. So things may not be at full operational status yet, but they should be very close to that. So resume your capitalist endeavors and resume your Christmas shopping and all that bullshit, because
Stop hoarding the toilet paper.
oh my God. The funniest meme that I've seen about that is, the strike is over. Go sit in your toilet paper fort and think about what you've done.
I don't really understand that, because I think I look at my toilet paper supply, which isn't immense. It's not like I have a closet full of toilet paper. And I never have once panicked that I won't be able to get toilet paper. Like, how much are these people shitting? I don't get it.
Well, it's not just that. It's not how much are they shitting, is how obsessed are they with their own anuses, because that's really what this is. People are terrified about not being able. Buy a fucking bidet. You can get a bidet at Walmart now for $30.
Right.
You know, you might still need to use toilet paper to dry your nether regions, but good God, people, there's so much more important things. You're going to starve to death, but you won't have anything to poop because you have no food. But goddamn, you've got the toilet paper.
Yeah.
Good Lord. What happened with the Boeing strike that happened?
Yeah, so the Machinists union at Boeing is withholding their labor presently. They want to get their pensions back, which is unlikely, but that's what they want. And honestly, I think everyone should have a pension. The problem with, you'll see the people on the right say, well, a 401k is better because then I can control my money and, all that. The problem is, if there's an economic downturn, at the time you're retiring, your 401k could be a lot less than you thought it was going to be.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas your pension is defined. It's called a defined benefits plan. You will know what you're going to get.
Mm-hmm.
And it's protected.
Mm-hmm.
It's also insured. So even if the company goes out of business, you still will get that. The benefits of a defined benefit plan are immense over a 401k. Where I work right now, we have a hybrid plan. So I have both. I pay into a defined benefit plan. I also pay into a 401k style plan.
And can you define like what percentage goes to each?
Yes, and you can choose to do one or the other too, but I chose the hybrid plan.
Yeah.
So
yeah, there's a lot of this is just indicative of the education that's needed for people, because people are so susceptible to running with the manufactured talking points that have a political angle, and they don't care about what the truth is about how these things work. And so they're lazy and they run with the propaganda, which is toxic.
Yeah. Well, the Boeing Machinists gave up their pension in 2014 during a labor negotiation, and 10 years later they're regretting it.
Yeah.
And that's hard to get back. So if you happen to work at a giant corporation that still has a pension, don't give it up. It's hard to get back. That's my advice to you.
Speaking of propaganda and people being willing to just indulge in that, the people who, God, and I understand what this election is about. I really do. But the people on the left who are excited about Liz Cheney campaigning for Kamala Harris.
It's wild. First of all, people forget because Liz Cheney did not support the coup. She's still a far-right kook.
Yeah.
She believes everything else that's crazy that conservatives believe these days.
And there's been a trope going around for a long time, since before Harris was the candidate for the Democrats, that, oh my God, look at all these. The one that really that I loved so much when it was going on was people saying, we need Ronald Reagan. This is people on the left saying, we need Ronald Reagan Republicans back. And they're showing clips of Reagan spouting his propaganda and everything else. And, oh my God, these are people on the left saying, if we only had Ronald Reagan back, we would be more sane today. Oh my fucking God.
These are Ronald Reagan Republicans.
Yeah.
This is the result of his policies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
the only thing Ronald Reagan I would like for somebody to adopt. He was against genocide in the Middle East. He stopped Israel from doing a long war against Lebanon after the bombing. There was a Beirut bombing in 1980 something.
Yeah.
And he saw Israel's response and thought it was too much, and he told them to stop. So,
and that was about the time that you started to see the withering of the will for our politicians to stop Israel's endeavors, because it just escalated into AIPAC having so much control over our politicians on both sides of the aisle. There's no difference between Democrats and Republicans when it comes to Israel.
right.
But one of the things that I saw this today, I think it was a tweet by someone, is, and this is what will bother me forever, that other countries around the world are looking at our political atmosphere right now, and the fact that the 50% of the political power in this country has chosen the path of someone as abhorrent and demonstrably awful as the person that they've chose, and they are deciding that the United States is not a serious country. We cannot call ourselves a moral leader or an economic leader or anything else of substance because of the evidence on the ground of what 50% of the political power in this country has decided to invest in. And they aren't, that 50% of the political power is not wavering on this at all. The fact that the polls are as close as they are is astonishing to me. Somebody else made the point that this should be Harris in a landslide. And if this were 30, 40 years ago, and we had built ourselves up into the conundrum that we're in today, it would be a person like Harris in a landslide. But we have decayed to this point. And there's, I don't know that there's any coming back from it.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the polls do make it look like it's super close.
I hope it's wrong.
It really is. I don't know if it really is going to be. I mean, Harris is definitely going to get many million more popular votes. But how close will the Electoral College be? I don't know.
And how close are these individual states going to be that it's going to set the fertile ground for the Republicans to just muddy the waters with their challenges and going back to hanging chads and dimpled chads of whatever year that was.
Right.
That any portion of this is
hanging chads, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, right. is going to be decided by the Supreme Court is a little terrifying.
That's true, because the Supreme Court is not legitimate.
I mean, they've surprised us in some of their rulings in the last year, and surprised us not in the worst way.
True, but then they've done some other really horrible rulings.
Yeah,
the Chevron decision was terrible. The immunity decision. That was
insane. Let's skip to that for a second, because we were going to talk about that as number 7, but Jack Smith seems to have come back with his redacted new indictment addressing these immunity questions with incredibly solid points.
Yeah.
So so that leads me to be less worried about what their ruling was about the immunity decision, because it really looks like he closed the gaps.
Well, his arguments are that those weren't official acts.
Right.
All those things he lists, these aren't official acts, so he's not immune from those. But that's going to end up in front of the Supreme Court most likely.
I think so.
Say?
Yeah, I think.
What are they going to say? We don't know.
I think it's inevitable that all of these criminal cases regarding Trump are going to end up in front of the Supreme Court. I don't think there's any avoiding that. So, justice delayed.
Yeah. All right. We'll get into more details on what Jack Smith said in a little bit. But yeah, Kamala courting far right votes just so she doesn't have to stop Israel's genocide is crazy to me, and that's what she's doing. Because there are people on the left that don't want to vote for her because of that. And she'd rather not appeal to them. She'd rather appeal to Republicans.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy. But that's where we are. Anyway, I'm going to vote for Kamala Harris just because Trump has to go to prison. He has to. He fucking has to.
Yeah. I've conceded that it is not in the cards that in my lifetime am I going to see anything other than the two-party system continuing to ream our collective assholes over and over again.
That's one way to describe it.
It makes me very sad.
All right. Well, let's talk about what's going on in the Middle East just briefly, because there was a major thing that happened on Monday, I think, right after we recorded our last episode. Iran lobbed a bunch of missiles at Israel, and lots of them got through. There is video of this.
Yes.
But then I watched press secretary after press secretary in different departments. Department of Defense press secretary, Department of State's press secretary, Joe Biden's press secretary. I watched them all say that the attack was ineffective and they didn't hit any targets. That is just simply not true. There is video.
Yeah.
There is video of them hitting targets.
Oh, yeah.
They hit military targets too, I would like to point out, not mosques and schools like Israel does.
Right, and but they also hit Mossad headquarters, which is positioned in between a mall and a school, I think. And so Israel does what Israel accuses other countries of doing in terms of putting their military infrastructure within proximity to civilian infrastructure. There's no question about that. And fortunately, Iran plucked Mossad headquarters out of that and nailed it.
Mm-hmm.
I did see the analysis from some military folks about the systems that make up the Iron Dome being far less capable of dealing with ballistic missiles, which is what Iran used, because it was really designed for like the Katyusha rockets that, they call them Stalin stovepipes because they are that old. The design of these things is incredibly old. It's really, the Iron Dome is designed for those things. So the ballistic missiles found their targets fairly successfully. And
they did, and the speeds are different. That's what's mainly different. The ballistic missiles are going 3,000 miles an hour. Everything else is going a couple hundred miles an hour.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently we can't shoot them down either because we helped shoot down stuff. So did Jordan. So did France.
Mm-hmm.
We were shooting down the Iranian missiles.
I saw the I think it was a Navy spokesman, some general, saying he gave a specific number. He said about 24 is what the naval assets of the U.S. that were in the region. 24 of those missiles were shot down by the U.S. That's nothing compared to the number of missiles that were lobbed. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's almost insignificant. But I think that was clearly part of Iran's plan, was to overwhelm the systems.
Yeah, and because of the different speeds of the missiles, they fired them at different times too, so that they would all arrive at the same time.
Mm-hmm. And they also took into account the time that it takes to reload those not Patriot systems, but the Iron Dome systems. And so that was somewhere between 15 and 20 minutes in between those systems running out of munitions, and then they have to resupply them. Part of the reason for that time gap is that they don't keep the additional munitions in proximity to the launcher system. So they have them miles away and they have to truck them in, because if they did, they would lose all their resupply, when the system gets hit. So Iran calculated for all that. Iran's been watching the use of that Iron Dome for many, many years, and they have used what they've learned to find the weaknesses in that system, which is inevitable in any system. And so, yeah. But as far as I know, Israel has not militarily, other than continuing to bomb sites in Lebanon, has not responded with anything militarily in Iran.
No, but they did increase exponentially their bombing of Lebanon, and they invaded on the ground as well after this.
Which they were staged to do anyway.
Right, but they keep saying that to wait for their response to the attack. So like, this isn't it. They're going to do something else. And who knows what that's going to be.
Yeah. If Israel was so confident in their ability to defeat Iran on Iran's ground, they would have already done something. The fact that they have delayed whatever their response is going to be leads me to think that they are not so sure that they could achieve something in Iran the way that they're propagandizing.
Yeah.
This is the only way that this ends in some way is if Netanyahu gets assassinated. That's the only.
Yeah. Oh my God. There was a thing going around social media. I think it was last week where people were saying that he had a head injury or something from something.
Oh yeah.
I wanted that to be true so bad. It wasn't, or at least doesn't appear as though it was. So yeah, that's a terrible situation, and it's just escalation after escalation. I don't see how this is going to end. I really don't. I do know there's not going to be a ceasefire during Biden's presidency, which is crazy because like a month ago he was sure he had one.
Well, I mean, he was sure of that a few times in the past year. We are, by the way, a year into. Tomorrow is October 7th.
Yeah. So if you're listening to this, it's the anniversary. Don't know if there's going to be something extra that happens. I don't know. All right.
Yeah.
Anything else about that?
I don't think so.
All right. Let's move into the shit stain with the orange face. So we did talk about this before, how Oklahoma is going to require prayer in their public schools, and they're going to require Bibles in their public schools. Well, we recently found out that they designed the requirements for the Bibles to be in the school, such as they have to have a copy of the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution in them. They have to be leather bound and made of a certain material. Well, guess what? There's only one Bible in existence that meets all their requirements, and it's the Trump Bible.
This is fucking insane.
I don't know how that's legal. How can that be legal?
There have to be groups on the ground in Oklahoma that are challenging this. There have to be.
I don't know. But that's not the only wacky fundraising thing Trump's got going for him. He also announced a watch you can buy. Costs $100,000. The watch doesn't exist. It's just a website. And we're going to design this collector's item that you can get for $100,000. Ships anywhere in the world, and they accept Bitcoin. So 100%, that is just Trump getting foreign illegal donations to his campaign, right?
I didn't consider
100%.
that. Oh my God.
That is absolutely what that is. It's crazy.
I'd not heard that take on it, and that now has me thinking about it, unfortunately.
Yeah, he's going to sell a lot of those watches in Russia and probably Israel and I don't know, all those countries that love him. North Korea. Speaking of, this isn't on the list, but you did text me about it. There were North Korean soldiers, as a sidetrack, North Korean soldiers killed in Ukraine. And what effect is that going to have? I think we knew that North Korea had sent troops there.
Yeah, we knew that they had made a statement that they were going to do that, and they did. And I wonder if, in fact, the petulant dwarf in North Korea didn't decide to do that so that he could make a statement about how North Korean soldiers are being killed by American munitions as some sort of excuse to escalate things militarily in the South Pacific. I don't know what other benefit could come from this for North Korea. It's
Money.
weird.
I mean, maybe I'm sure they're being paid by Russia.
Yeah. I'm sure of it.
So that's crazy too. All right. Well, if you've been listening to this podcast for a while, you may notice we have intro music now. We're growing up. We got something else. It's called an ad break. We're going to take one right now.
There we go.
Lumographics is a leftist-owned 3D printing business. If you can imagine it, chances are we can design and create it for you. Choose from our library of unique, functional, and eye-catching products, or simply let us know what you need, and we can start brainstorming designs for you. Think outside the box or shed the box altogether. Check out our pre-designed prints on TikTok or Etsy, or contact us on either platform and let us know what you need for a custom print. Plus, stay tuned for a model officially licensed by the Jet Propulsion Laboratory. Visit us at etsy.com/shop/Lumographics LLC, LUMOGRAPHIX LLC.
We're back.
All right. So now we talked about it a little bit earlier, but Jack Smith had a filing that he made a few weeks ago, and it was unsealed so we could read it. It's 165 pages. I admit I did not read all of it. I read some of it, and I relied on others to break down the important parts. But it was mainly about January 6th and what was happening that day and how none of that was an official action by the president.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore, he should not be immune. Some things that I guess we kind of knew, but now we have quotes and concrete information about it. He was absolutely going to let Pence get hanged.
Mm-hmm.
He was absolutely going to allow that. His response when somebody said, "Oh my God, they're chanting hang Mike Pence," was, "So what? What the fuck?"
And I hate Mike
Now
Pence.
we know why Pence obviously already knew that, and now that makes perfect sense why Pence is against supporting him now.
Yeah.
Because he knows that Trump was going to let him get killed. He also other quotes he had. He said, "Let them riot. I don't care." He was not interested in putting any restraint on what his supporters were doing that day at all.
Mm.
Also that day is when apparently he decided to promote Rudy Giuliani to be his top legal advisor, because his other lawyers were telling him that January 6th, what was happening was bad and you should stop this. And he didn't want to. So he's like, all right, well, we're going to demote all you guys and I'll let Rudy be my top lawyer now because he supports this. Holy crap. There's other nuggets in there. I do suggest you read it if you can. It's just quotes from various people. And all the people that are named aren't named in it. They're person 1, person 2, person 3, whatever, that aren't named.
Mm-hmm.
You can tell from where things were happening, who they are, and people have named almost all of them. And when you read all that stuff, you realize there's going to be charges for them. There has to be.
There has to be. Yeah.
There has to be. It's disappointing that there hasn't been yet, but it's clear that there's evidence, that Jack Smith has evidence to charge some of these people. And they are Congress people. They're senators. The chairwoman of the RNC. So, yeah.
Yeah, I have to think. I mean, obviously, we're only fucking 4 weeks away from the election. Nothing's going to come down in terms of new indictments before then. I don't think. I think it's just not reasonable to expect that. But I think depending on the results of this election, you're going to see a probably a rapid uptick in legal activity in these cases. Yeah, it's fucking mind-boggling what's going on in this country. It's unreal.
So a reporter asked Biden about the election if he thought it was going to be free and fair and peaceful. And he said, "It's going to be free and fair. I don't know if it's going to be peaceful." And he's right. I don't know if it is either.
Yeah. I don't have any reason to expect that it is going to be peaceful. And that expectation is not that people on the left are going to do stupid, illegal shit. It's the people on the right who have demonstrated their ability and their willingness to violate the law and violate people's freedoms and just do the most insane fucking things. They're in prison for it today. And there will be more of them in prison for the same things this time next year.
Oh, speaking of that, did you see the video of I don't remember her name or where she was from, but she was a election official from somewhere that got sentenced to 9 years.
Yeah, 9 years in prison.
Yeah, did you see her pleading before the sentence came down? Oh my God, what a piece of shit she is.
Yeah, and the judge fucking railed
said,
on her.
I'm not a criminal. I've never broken the law. This is after she was convicted for breaking the fucking law.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
9 years
so
in
glad
prison.
the judge gave her a teardown that I loved. That was nice to see. But yeah, she was tampering with the voting machines is what she was doing, and she was an election official. You can't fucking do that.
Yeah. What state was that in?
I don't remember. I mean, I knew a couple days ago, but I didn't write it down, so I don't remember.
Hey, yeah, that was delicious to see.
It was.
I love that.
And I can't wait to see people like Marjorie Taylor Greene and Jim Jordan pleading for their sentences.
Oh my God, that would be so satisfying.
Other news, we had a jobs report come out this week that was surprisingly good, beat expectations, which a lot of them have been lately. So unemployment's down to like 4.1%. That's really good. Prices in the grocery store are down a little bit, but guess what, James? My rent didn't go down.
Rent has never gone down in this country.
Cars are fucking still way too expensive. I don't know.
Well, let me bring you back to what the unemployment numbers came down from. They came down from 4.2% to 4.1%.
Right.
Isn't that almost within the margin of error, for fuck's sake?
It is, but isn't under 6% considered full employment? I mean, it's good. It's good that there isn't a lot of people unemployed, I guess.
It's good that it didn't go up, I guess.
Yeah, I guess. I do know that if we put Republicans in charge, it'll get worse. I know that. So yeah, there is that.
Yeah. Ugh.
Anything else of import before we lighten the mood?
Let me put eyes on the Google News feed real quick, and I'll tell you if there's anything I forgot that I was supposed to remember. Oh, Musk.
Oh, my God.
I don't even know what there is to talk about.
Butler, and he had Elon Musk with him.
Oh, my God.
That was yesterday. Holy fuck. And Musk is such an idiot. He went up on the stage and started jumping around again. He can't jump, and he looks so stupid. And why does he wear T-shirts over his sweaters and stuff? That looks stupid, too. He's like a kid. Oh, my God. I didn't see anything. Did you see anything that he said? I didn't see that.
Well, I saw him, and I made a TikTok last night about it real briefly, about him getting on the stage saying, and the other team wants to take away your right to free speech. This is the guy who's censoring people on his X platform.
I have two banned X accounts that he won't give me back. I always argue. I was like, hey, your boss said he's a free speech absolutist. Give me my account back.
Right. And
my
then
initial account I lost because somebody posted on Twitter, if you see this guy in the grocery store, what do? It was like 2017, 2018, while Trump was president, and it was a picture of Trump. And I said, I'd sacrifice my freedom and punch him in the face. That's what I said. And I got permanently banned for that.
And he also, on that same stage at that time, made the comment about that team also wants to take away your right to own firearms. Where's the evidence of this? What are you talking about? The bottom line is that nothing he said on that stage had any truth to it, which would be commensurate with everything else said by anybody else on that stage. But the number of people that are just frothing at the mouth, cheering for everything that he and the jaundiced shit Gibbons said is just, These people are lost. These people are not of any value whatsoever. These people are the most toxic element in our culture today, and we don't need to handle them with kid gloves. It's just,
here's the thing: the stuff Musk said, and quite frankly, all the stuff Trump says. That's another thing in Jack Smith's document. It proves that Trump knows he's lying about stuff.
yeah.
They just make it up.
Yep.
And he knows it.
Yep.
Musk knows he's making that shit up too. They're just doing that to appeal to you fucking idiots that are willing to vote for it.
Yeah.
The real reason why Musk wants Trump to win is because he's afraid that Kamala Harris is going to raise his taxes. That's it. That's the only reason. Oh, and maybe he's a little too.
Well, here's the thing, and this is the only fix for this, and I don't think that this fix is ever going to happen. If you people out there listening would be less stupid, politicians wouldn't be able to get away with this shit.
Mm-hmm.
You need to stop thinking that you're less stupid because you're signing up for the propaganda of the lunatics in the political spectrum. You are not less stupid because you think that embryos are being processed into multivitamins for the politicians to maintain their youth. You are even more stupid for these reasons.
You got me thinking about Roseanne and the unhinged shit she said to Tucker Carlson.
Oh yeah,
I don't think we talked about that.
What was she talking about?
I don't know.
Yes, they eat babies.
They're full-on vampires. People
I think she was
crazy,
talking about
I'm not crazy. These are facts.
I think it was in reference to a conversation about Haitian immigrants. I think that's where that came from, which makes it even more disgusting. Oh my God.
Yeah, do yourself a favor and watch her talk to Tucker Carlson and see.
Do yourself a favor. I don't know.
And see how he doesn't push back on any of it.
No.
He doesn't push back on any of it, even though he knows it's crazy, unhinged shit. All right, that's enough anger. Let's lighten the mood. This is the final segment of every show where we just talk about whatever the fuck we want to that's not political, not news, not depressing. We call it odds and ends. Did you see that Vanderbilt beat Alabama yesterday in college football?
I did not, but I think I saw glimpses of the aftermath. What's that all about?
Here's why it's exciting. First of all, Alabama is ranked number 1. Vanderbilt is a poverty franchise, poverty university, has been forever. I don't know that the university is that, but their football team is. In fact, the former head coach of Alabama, Nick Saban, once said, the only place in the SEC that's easy to go into and win is Vanderbilt. He said that. In fact, they played that on the Jumbotron after the game. They played him saying that over and over and over. But yeah, so Vanderbilt beat Alabama yesterday. The students tore down the goalpost, as is tradition sometimes when you have a big win in football. Then they carried them out of the stadium, marched them downtown Nashville, and threw them in the river. There's just a mob of students carrying the goalposts through the streets of Nashville. It was pretty cool to see, actually. And I'm glad they let them do that, honestly.
And there weren't any arrests or anything for that?
I'm aware of.
Yeah.
It was cool to see. So, baseball playoffs also are happening. The team I root for, the Cleveland Guardians, they beat the Detroit Tigers yesterday, 7-0. Game 2 is tomorrow. Dodgers beat the Padres. Mets beat somebody. And I don't know. That's all I remember.
Before we came on, I saw a clip of Ohtani's 3-run homer that tied the game. And I don't know if anybody else noticed it, but when he hit that homer, he threw the bat, which could have gotten him in trouble, but it would have been a really bad move for the umps to have called him on that. But yeah, it was pretty sweet. Ohtani he deserves so much recognition. He's a hell of a player.
He is indeed. I did watch a movie last night. It's What's Inside. If you haven't seen it yet, Kit is gonna recommend it because that's why I watched it.
Yeah, I downloaded it. I haven't watched it yet. I might watch it tonight.
If you're like me though, and you recognize characters by their look and not by their name, you'll struggle because you have to pay attention to the names of the characters.
Okay.
It matters. Their names matter a lot. So I kind of struggled to figure out what's going on. I'm probably gonna have to watch it a second time to fully understand it and pay more attention to what their names are. But
I like those kind of.
I enjoyed it.
I like the movies that I have to go back and watch several times because if I'm willing to do that, it means there was something good in there, and it was worth going back to reprocess things I thought I missed. I consumed a couple of movies and a couple of TV series, or tried to anyway. The first one I watched, which I didn't even know it existed, was a 2024 remake of Salem's Lot, which the original scared the living shit out of me as a kid. This production is far better than that. I didn't
know that existed either. That's
the only person of note that's in it that I recognized was Alfre Woodard. And she was fantastic in it. She did a great job, but it's definitely good. I also tried to watch James McAvoy's. Was it James McAvoy? Yeah, Speak No Evil.
Ooh, I did watch that actually.
Did you watch the whole thing?
I did.
I didn't make it through it when he was abusing his kid. That I couldn't watch that. Should I have finished it?
I don't know if you want me to spoil it for you. I don't know. I'll just say the man, not McAvoy, but the other man.
Mm-hmm.
He is he's ineffectual. Let's say that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He's 100% ineffectual, and he doesn't really redeem himself.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, he doesn't. There's a strong woman in that movie. That's what I'll say.
Okay. I might go back and try to finish it then. I also tried to start watching the TV series Dominion. I made it to season 1, episode 7. It's so convoluted. I just wasn't tracking anything in it anymore. I don't know. It's lackluster to me. But I also started watching Only Murders in the Building, which is a Hulu series, and I love it. I absolutely love it.
Yeah, I watched the first 3 seasons of that, and I really enjoyed it. Season 4 is currently airing. I haven't watched any of that yet. But yeah, it's good.
Steve Martin and Martin Short, I don't know what's going on, but they're not aging. They should be in far worse shape.
If you have money and you can afford it,
yeah, that's true.
Very effectual.
But Selena Gomez's character works so well with those two because she's so deadpan, but I think she's a really good actress, and she works really well opposite these two veterans, and I'm loving it.
And the story is good.
Yeah, it keeps going, and I like that about it, and it leaves hope for me that somebody's going to make a movie about our podcast someday. The rights to the script can be negotiated by contacting myself or rather Matthew, and we will be happy to accommodate you.
Leftist Lens business at gmail.com.
Oh boy, watch that email account. They're coming in. I can feel it. Oh Lord. Yeah, so I looked at the Google News feed. I don't think we missed anything, but I think by this time next week, I'm not even going to predict what's going to happen because shit's going to happen and it's going to be unexpected. And it's going to be.
Hopefully less stuff happens so we can bring you more important election updates, like on various ballot measures in various states and stuff. I want to do that, but there's just so much other shit to talk about.
Yeah, we'd be on here for hours if we covered everything we wanted to cover in that regard.
Yeah, I doubt it. Very many people get to this portion of the podcast anyway.
That's true.
But if you do, hi.
Well, but
like, subscribe, do all that shit.
Yes, please do, and comment and critique and engage with us. But maybe they'll stick around for the end because we've also not only got intro music, but we've got outro music, which is coming up right now.